with the Senator for Nairobi City County. Senator Eddie.
Mr. Speaker, I've got two quick clarification questions, one from the witness and then one from the counsel who cross-examined the witness. Mr. Abdi, you have indicated to this Senate that eventually of all the 17 companies that did bid for this tender, all of them eventually got all their bid bonds and documents back. However, the witness that appeared before us, called Mr. Mulwa, indicated that on the 11th of July 2023, he received a phone call from the Deputy President to be able to come and collect the bid bond for Shobika, specifically from Eacc. I want to know, when did the other 16 companies get their bid bonds from Eacc? Did they get it at the same date that the former witness indicated that he waited for 5 hours from Eacc, or did they get them from Eacc at a variable date? Then lastly, Mr. Speaker, the counsel for the Deputy President has heavily relied on the Senate report. And if you look at page 218 all the way to page 230, it is submissions to Senate by different individuals. Counsel, do submissions itemized by individuals who appeared before Senate in your best understanding amount to Senate's finding and resolutions in your best understanding? And what do you make of page 275 of Senate recommendations and not findings? Because you did indicate to this House that those were Senate findings. Are they findings or are they submissions of individuals to the Senate of Kenya? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Swali langu kwa mshahidi. Umeelezea bunge la Senate ya kwamba wafanyikazi wa serikali hawakubaliwi kuchukua pesa kama zawadi. Lakini wafanyikazi wa serikali wanakubaliwa kuchukua zawadi aina ingine. Na tena ukasema katika Eacc kuna orodha ambayo mnaorodhesha kila kitu ambacho kinachukuliwa na mfanyikazi yoyote wa serikali. Tunajua kwamba makamu wa rais amekuwa mbele ya Kenya nzima akasema amepata ng'ombe kutoka kwa marafiki zake wa bonde la Ufa kama zawadi. Mimi nataka kukuuliza na uelezee hii bunge yetu ya Senate. Je, uko na orodha ya yote ya hizo ng'ombe za maziwa ambazo zilipatikana, ambazo anasema aliziorodhesha? Hiyo ndio swali yangu kwako. Asante.
Senator Jesang Alan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have two questions that I would like to ask the Counsel of His Excellency, the Deputy President, to tell the House why was it the Deputy President calling the CEO of KEMSA asking for a release of the bid bond and not the CEO of Crystal Company, yet he's not an employee or a director of the said company. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I equally want to ask the counsel of the Deputy President to enlighten me and prove to this House that on how the call by the Deputy President to the CEO of KEMSA pertaining a bid bond that was in process of a contract, not a conflict of interest. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to ask the council if the Deputy President knows that he's not a regional leader, but a national leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the DP's counsel. Now, I saw you trying to cross-examine the witness before us on a report of the Senate, which I believe he has not interacted with. And again, the motion that was before the House and also the National Assembly. What are you trying to drive out of that? I thank you.
Senator Joyce Korir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question is, I wanted to know what informed the extension of time, the change of dates from the extension of time from during the procurement process. Thank you.
Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question to Mr. Abdi. You receive a letter from the Health Ministry on 11th May 2023. Then in your wisdom, you replied 16 months later, when the CS has even left the office. My question, and that is 5 months after the Senate looks into the issue and comes with a report. Are you part of the conspiracy? Don't answer me, answer your children.
Senator Sigei.
Honorable Speaker, the question I intended to ask has already been asked by my colleague, Senator Mogatana, so I do not need to waste the time.
Senator Kibwana. And honorable senators, you know, when you're given an opportunity to seek clarification or ask a question, it is not a moment to get a TikTok clip. Please, this is a very serious matter. Proceed. Let us not embarrass this House. Proceed, Senator Hamida.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to Mr. Abdi, I just wanted a clarification whether EACC, when EACC conducts their investigation, are they guided by other investigations? Because through the cross-examination, I think it was vis-a-vis the Parliament investigation. So I think these are two different investigations. So I wanted that clarification, whether you are guided by Parliament, because the Parliament are not experts. That's why we always bring in or loop in EACC to assist us with the investigation. Number two, would you call it a bribe if a gift is not declared, you know, or gifts in a public office? Would you call it a bribe? Just the last one to the council. How do you cross-examine what someone came and said, but not exactly specific findings of the Senate, because I found it a bit contradicting. Because the resolutions of the Senate is based on committees' observation and recommendations, but not investigations. Thank you.
Senator Kathuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, mine is not to the counsel or to the witness, but to the remarks which has been given out here by Senator Karungo Dhango. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you heard what he said, and I do not associate myself as a senator, honorable senator, with those remarks to a witness appearing before the Senate, that please don't answer me, answer your children. Mr. Speaker, that should be expunged from the records of the Senate and from the answer, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable senators. Senator Karungo, that is unparliamentary and totally out of order. Proceed to retract that statement, failure to which the chair will rule.
Mr. Speaker, as I withdraw, this session is viewed by everybody. At home, our children too. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo, I never give you an opportunity to make a speech. Retract or you allow me to make a ruling.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I retract.
Take your seat.
I withdraw, and please answer me.
Take your seat, Senator Karungo, please. Senator Keroche Tabitha.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And as a mother, I think I've also felt I'm hurt with Senator Karungo. But because it has been ruled, thank you. We should never, ever. I know we had a meeting, closed our meeting before we started this. And we all agreed we are going to behave. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Proceed to seek clarification.
Mine is to the ABDI. My question is to the ABDI on whatever you're trying to do on the procurement irregularities. But my question is, are you doing to the others, because there are a lot of complaints on the procurement departments in all the ministries. So I hope this continues to everywhere. Thank you.
Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to ask Mr. Abdi this question. In your observation, maybe in just a paragraph, what do you interpret happened about this tender from its inception, in terms of the procurement, in terms of the management of the exercise and the conclusion, as an officer whose responsibility is actually to investigate if there was any breakage of the law, and if necessary, make recommendations to the DPP. What conclusion did you reach when you were analyzing this matter? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Mulwa, before this House, implicated the Deputy President in a scandal of the 3.7 billion KEMSA deal. In your own investigation, can you corroborate what Dr. Mulwa has claimed before this House? Thank you.
Senator Tom Ojenda.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, my question is different. I want to ask the previous, the advocate who spoke or presented the Kenya-Kwanza agreement, my learned friend, to clarify a few issues. Mr. Yes, Counsel, can you clarify from the agreement, the Kenya-Kwanza agreement, whether there are any shares for the following counties? Please note this. this is important, Kisumu County, Siaya County, Migori County, Homa Bay County, Kitui County, Mombasa County, Vihiga County, Mandera County, Marsabit County, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, Lamu, and Nairobi County. I just want to know whether, and this is important because the legal crinkum crankum, the twists and turns in this is that you will then interpret, counsel, whether the agreement violates Article 210(2)(b) of the Constitution, inclusivity, diversity, discrimination, and the obligation of the President under Article 131. Lastly, counsel, please just tell us whether, in your view, the relationship between the Deputy President and the President, because you played the two clips under Kenya Kwanza, has broken down irretrievably. That will help us. Thank you.
Senator Essie Okenyure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to seek more information from Mr. Abdi on was it in order for the bid bond document to be released while there was an ongoing investigation? And secondly, did EACC clear Madam Terry Ramadhan as the ambassador? Thank you.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a few things to clarify from EACC. One, did you find it necessary to record a statement from Crystal and Shobika in that probe? Because they had been mentioned. Were they entities of interest in the investigation? Secondly, has Shobika ever done any business with KEMSA or with Global Fund before the case on record? In your own investigations, did you find that? In your letter, I see you have recommended administrative action against the CEO, the acting director of procurement, and 2 procurement officers. I see no recommendation of any action, not necessarily by KEMSA, against Crystal or against Shobika. And I think that's in line with your own recommendation that in this case on record, there was no public funds lost, and eventually the bid was returned. So in your own investigation, what is at issue here? I thank you.
Senator Mofaya.
I don't know whether this, Honorable Speaker, I want to know from the witness from the EACC. I've listened to his evidence, and I would want to know, on behalf of the whole House, whether the contract for mosquito nets, which was drawn out of interference, because I have captured those confessions from him. So my question is, Honorable Speaker, can he connect the company associated with the DP, with the withdrawal of that contract? Number 2, Honorable Speaker, I have also listened to Mr. Murwa, Dr. Murwa. One would want to know, is it normal for ordinary CEO to come and camp in your office for 5 hours?
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question to the witness is that we've been told by Dr. Mulwa that the people of Kenya lost money, they lost time, they lost the number of nets they were going to get and services to people. Now, does EACC end at just saying you recommend administrative action? Now, who takes responsibility for the loss of all of that the people of Kenya did? And what responsibility is taken in respect of tinkering with the procurement in order to give it to the wrong person for it to be found not to have been correct? Honorable Speaker, one more question to counsel. Now that Professor Odinga has asked, I want to take opportunity to ask Counsel Macharia, you referred to the Political Parties Act, Schedule 3, as the instrument with which you allege that the shareholding, in your view, that was being spoken about is contained in the coalition government of Kenya Kwanza. Can you give us the exact provisions of Schedule 3 of the Political Parties Act that says that shareholding can be done on development projects in Kenya?
Senator Mugo. Senator Mugo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have a question for the Excellency Deputy President's Counsel as to whether the Deputy President, in his own conscience, realized that this shareholding narrative is really going negative, and what did he do about it? Or he just went all the way up to where things are now without he himself realizing that it is going the wrong way?
Senator Jonyut.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, just want to ask the witness, Mr. Abdi. He has stated that as per their investigation, EACC, that the closing date was moved for this tender, particular tender, was moved from the 23rd of February 2023 to 10th of March in order for the process to favor Shobika, or whose local agent was Christo. Can you clarify, Mr. Abdi, whether this extension of the tender period was due to the late delivery of bid bond, because you said that the tender was also attached to a bid bond that was late? Was the reason the late delivery of the bid bond, or the specifications of the long-lasting net from synergist peronale, something like that, but side to pyrethroid? Exactly what was the reason? Was it late delivery of bid bond or the specification? Number two, Mr. Abdi, you have indicated that the authority did not prefer any charges against the officers of KEMSA and the PS herself. Is that the right thing that EACC was supposed to do, or it should have preferred charges against these errant, in quotes, officers? And finally, why were the companies that were eventually given the tender or awarded the tender by Global FAD, why had they initially been disqualified by KEMSA? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to seek clarifications from the Advocate of the National Assembly in reference to Ground 11, which pertains to gross misconduct bullying. You have alleged that that His Excellency the Deputy President exerted undue pressure on officials of Kenya Medical Supplies Agency in order to secure a tender for supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited, a company purportedly associated with him. Now, Upon reviewing the documentation provided, I have noted that 17 companies submitted bids for this tender, yet it was ultimately not awarded to any of them. Given these findings, may I inquire from you whether it will be correct to assert that this particular ground lacks sufficient substantiation, considering that no award was made in respect to the tender in question? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chimera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 3 quick issues to the witness. I wish to refer the witness to page 17 of his own document. And I know he is a very serious investigator, Speaker, but the document on page 17, dated 16th July 2014, as tabled here, is so naked and so casual, and it's purportedly coming from the Pest Control and Products Board. There is no letterhead as to confirm the authenticity of this document, Mr. Speaker. I don't know how the witness intends to allow the Senate to authenticate this document. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is on his allegation on the conflict of interest on the part of the DP insofar as this tender is concerned. Is it your contention that the mere fact Crystal Kenya Limited is the local agent of one of the bidders in this tender, then that will suffice to be conflict of interest enough on the part of the DP, because the owner of that company assigns to the DP? And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the witness has been cross-examined by my learned colleague, counsel for the DP, largely on contents of the Senate Standing Committee on Health report, as opposed to his own documents. Do you want it to go on record that you want to rely on that report as your evidence in chief, or should the Senate rely on your documents as tabled under volume 8A of your own documents? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Shakil Abdallah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to Mr. Abdi. How many more charges against the deputy are before the EACC apart from the KEMSA? Thank you.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, just a quick question to Abdi of EACC. This issue of the bid bond, Mr. Speaker, listening to the former acting CEO, there's something curious about it which I want Abdi to either confirm or help us understand. That there was something peculiar. You know, Mr. Speaker, when you hear about pagination, if you know anything about tenders, you know for a fact that if there's an issue on pagination, either it is not just an issue of forgetting to page or number the pages, Mr. Speaker, but that document may either have been added later on after the tendering process was concluded, or, Mr. Speaker, it was defective. What was the real issue, according to their investigation, with regards to the bid bond that was submitted by this specific company? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, what in his assessment will he say is a reading of the donor community when you have such important programs interfered with, as such that the donor communities themselves end up cancelling such important programs? And what are they recommending? Finally, Mr. Speaker, is to Advocate Ndegwa Njiru. He asked the witness earlier which of the report would he, that this House believes, that of the Senate or of the EACC. I'd wish to pose the same question to him. I thank you.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika. Swali langu litaenda kwa Bwana Abdi. Kwa sababu anayehukumiwa hapa ni naibu wa rais, tungetaka kujua kwamba kwa sababu mlifanya uchunguzi, ni kesi ngapi ama kuna kesi yote ambayo EACC imepeleka mahakamani ili naibu wa rais aweze kuhukumiwa? Jambo la pili, wakati kulikuwa naibu wa rais alikuwa anachunguzwa katika bunge la kitaifa, kuna ushahidi wote ambao wewe uliwasilisha katika bunge la kitaifa? Na kama hukuwasilisha, kwa nini umeamua kuwasilisha tu nyumba la seneti na sio bunge la kitaifa? Na ya mwisho, katika zabuni ambayo ilikuwa ni ya vyandarua vya mbu ambayo naibu wa rais anasemekana alihusika nayo, tungetaka tujue ya kwamba kwa sababu ile zabuni ilikuwa imeghairiwa na KEMSA, na kwa hivyo dhamana ya zabuni ambayo ni bid bond kwa kimombo ilikuwa inafaa kurudishwa, tungetaka tujue kama hiyo dhamana ya zabuni ilirudishwa ama iliitishwa, ingekuwa inasaidia naibu wa rais na nini, ama kungekuwa na manufaa gani ya kurudisha dhamana ya zabuni kama ulivyorudisha zingine 17? Hiyo ndio ningetaka kujua. Asante sana Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mogeni.
Yes, Bwana Abdi, on this issue of irregular procurement of malaria nets with KEMSA, you know, you have given us documents that basically point to some recommendation for administrative action to be taken against a number of officers. But you know, what is of our concern today is companies associated with the DP. Can you tell us anything that you found irregular around the subject matter that concerns us this afternoon? That is the companies associated with the deputy president, Bwana Acting Deputy CEO. Thank you.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are lucky that the EACC is here with us. And there are serious allegations that have been raised that require investigations. Could the CEO, the deputy, confirm if indeed there are investigations taking place on your own motion on the following issues? One, on the activities of this intricate web of companies by the Deputy President, on the issue of the disinheritance of the orphans and wife of his late brother, His Excellency Nderitu Gachagua. 3, on the alleged insubordination of the President. And finally, if there are investigations on the role that His Excellency the Deputy President played in the infamous Gen Z uprising that occurred in June. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cheranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 3 quick questions. Like an eye of a military marksman. 1, I need clarification on Section 14 on cultural gifts. Especially some of us, when in our community, when we respect you, we give you cows. Does it qualify within the meaning of Section 14? Number 2, I've seen administration action against KEMSA officials and ministry officials and KEMSA. Since you recommended administrative action, have you gotten feedback from KEMSA? And number 2, did you recommend any action against companies? And finally, are there any active investigations by Eacc against the person of Rigathi Gachagua or against the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mutinda Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is to the Counsel for the National Assembly. You have presented before this House 2 witnesses, Mr. Abdi and the previous one, Dr. Mulwa. Dr. Mulwa before this House stated that there was no loss in regards to this procurement process. Mr. Abdi's report indicates very clearly that there was no loss of public funds. Would you tell this House, between your 2 witnesses, who is telling the truth, who is not telling us the truth? Secondly, Eacc, as far as Crystal Limited is concerned, have you established any evidence that shows that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya benefits directly or indirectly from this particular company? And lastly, my colleague asked about the former CEO, Ramadan. You had recommended action to be taken. In your report also, you indicate that she violated Article 10. Does it end there, Mr. Abdi? Because she's now working in a different capacity. What action are you supposed to take, or do you intend to take? Do you do recommendations and not adhere to them? What's the conclusion as far as this kind of reports are concerned from your office? Mr. Speaker, I ask this because Kenyans sometimes say that the Senate does not do oversight. We do not really take action, but we recommend. And this is now the situation that we find ourselves in, that your recommendations that
Senator Montet Batuli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to ask the CEO, what did the EACC, what is EACC planning to, is EACC planning to press charges on any of these companies that you say that you've investigated and found that they had interfered either through their agents with this particular tender? And if not, are you planning to do it, and when are you planning to do it?
Senator Veronica.
Just a quick clarification. Can you confirm or clarify whether these investigations have been closed by EACC in respect of this procurement at KEMSA, and whether there are any further persons of interest whom you have sanctioned or issued any notices of prosecution or anything of that sort beyond the letters that are attached to the affidavit? And in the course of your investigation, did you bother to find out what was the content of the phone calls that the acting CEO of KEMSA said was used to intimidate or cause pressure to him? Did you investigate the contents of that phone call?
Witness, you may now proceed to respond. Proceed, witness, to respond. Proceed to respond, witness. Order, honorable senators. If you have noticed, Honorable Seki, Honorable Seki, Honorable Seki, this hearing will terminate beyond midnight today. Let the witness respond to the queries that have been sought. Thereafter, we'll go for another round. Is there any problem? Honorable Seki, you're out of order. You're out of order. And I'm asking you to leave the chamber immediately. You cannot. You cannot direct the chair on what to do. Honorable Seki, unless you apologize, I'm going to throw you out of the chamber. You cannot say the chair is biased. If you've noticed, we've been going on lots. One lot, the witness answers, then I go for another lot. Honorable Seki, unless you apologize, I rule you out of order, and I'm going to throw you out. Proceed. You either apologize or I throw you out. Honorable Seki, you apologize or I throw you out.
You know, you as a speaker, I have come to your desk. I have a representation of Kajiado people. I have a right to speak in this assembly. You should
like
not
another senator.
seems to be biased.
Honorable Seki, you either apologize or I'm going to rule you out of order and I'm going to throw you out.
You know, I've never stood on.
My brother, look at it. Just apologize. We need you.
Order, honorable senators, order.
Let me just apologize.
Of course, but that's how. Honorable Seki, I have not heard the apology. Honorable Seki, you either proceed to apologize to the chair or you exit the chamber. Proceed. The floor is yours, Honorable Seki.
I apologize.
Take your seat. Now, Honorable Seki, Honorable Chute, and Honorable Omtata, you're totally out of order, pursuant to Standing Order 121, and I'm cautioning you. The first caution for the day. Honorable Chute, every senator here is elected to represent their people. If you notice from yesterday, we are going with lots. There is no senator who is more important than the other. Proceed, witness.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I may not have captured the exact names of the Honorable Senators, but I will deal with the questions as they were asked. So the first question was to do with when did the other companies get back their documents and the dates the companies got their documents. I'm not sure of the exact date when these documents were returned, but procedurally, we only focus mainly on the company that we are investigating either for procurement irregularities or certain issues. Like, for example, in this particular case, Shobika was the special company that we were looking at, and that was the reason why that particular one was identified, because the bid document actually had challenges, as I had indicated in my evidence in chief. Then we come to Honorable Mungatana, issues of gifts and the cows. Now, as I had indicated, gifts that are of value of more than 20,000 shillings are supposed to be handed in and declared by all public officers, including state officers. For this specific matter, we have not investigated as to the existence of